This is December 6th, 2022. December 6th, 2022. This is segment number 2. I'm in Homestead, Florida, USA. Dennis Sietsma Productions, 1994 Astro van. Earlier today I started debating and brooding how to go forward with this and make best use of my time, and one of the options was to put it back together and see what happens, but I decided I wanted to do a test, a leak down test on at least 2 cylinders. Well, I wanted to do one on the starboard side and one on the port side, but once I got into it I couldn't even get to I had done a compression check on this engine January 22nd, 2022, and all PSIs were about equal, 140, 150, and that's what you want on an engine. You're not really so concerned with the compression number. Obviously you want it higher than 90 PSI, but you want them all even, and if they're all even, that's going to give you a smooth idle. And you know, if the rings get bad, you would be burning some oil or using some oil. So anyway, I did the leak down test. I got on the starboard side because I have a little more room on the starboard side to work, so this should have been easier on this side of the van, and I started with number 6. Well, I couldn't get, and this is a video log, this is not a how-to, this is just how I did it, not how it needs to be done. But these little isolators to keep heat from the spark plugs from the engine, these little heat shields, were in the way, and to take those off I had to pull all these bolts off and drop the exhaust manifold on this side, and of course it didn't move very much, but the reason I did this is if I find a problem, the next step would be to pull the head if I have a problem on the starboard side. Well, I did the leak down test, assuming I did this correctly, which is you take 100 PSI from the compressor and you set this to 0 on the set mark, and then you connect it to the cylinder and see if it stays in the green or not. Well, 2 and 4 were in the well into the green. 6 is at 40%. And they tell you to do this test with a warm engine, and I can't do that, so I do the test cold first, including these compression checks that I did last in January of this year. Do it with a cold engine, and of course I can always put this back together at this point. But next I'm going to do a compression check. Well, if I cranked over this engine as it is now, fuel would start squirting out of the fuel pump all over the engine. I don't want that. That's dangerous and smelly. So I have to disable the fuel pump, and there's a connector underneath the van. I'm not going to do it this late in the day. I may change my mind. I changed my mind. This is a video log. This is not a how-to. Sometimes I change my mind, but I'll crawl underneath the van to disable the fuel pump at the connector that feeds power back to it's on the cross member underneath the van on this generation of van, or I could simply unplug the fuel pump relay to disable. But the other option is don't disable it, run a clear plastic line from, I think this is the end, one is the return line. There's a regulator in there. You get 60 PSI on one line, and the return goes back to the tank from the regulator, and that's how the regulator works, as long as the regulator's not leaking or flawed in some way. So I'll do a fuel volume, which I turn the pump on for 30 seconds or something like that and see how many ounces of gas I get. And it should be like 24 ounces or something like that, or I don't know what the spec is, but whatever it is, I measure it, and I've already checked the fuel pressure yesterday. It was 60 psi, but then it started dropping down to 55, but it wasn't leaking, it was holding. So again, this video log, at this point, I can do the compression test, I'll do the volume test, and then if I have enough time and patience and the weather stays good, and time is my worst problem, is having time to, you know, plus having the, what is the word, being strong enough, at the stamina, the endurance and stamina. I'm over 65, so having the endurance and stamina to continue with the other three, to check those for leak down. And I'm also going to read the manual again one more time, but basically all you do is set this up at set and then connect it to the cylinder, and I take a wrench and I rotate at the flywheel, I rotate the engine. It says to rotate the engine the same way as it normally cranks, and I can't remember if it cranks clockwise or counterclockwise. I know which way the distributor goes because it's got a chart here from the service manual, but and this picture is from the service manual. I took the picture and then I cropped it because I wanted something I could write on while I'm working on it. Alright, well, I think this may be the last video segment for today, December 6th, 2022. I need to go get some dinner, and maybe after dinner I'll do more, but this is where I am right now. And again, to my audience, thanks for watching.